The slap echoed like a gunshot in the morning air. The weak soldier's head snapped to the side, his cheek burning, his eyes wide with shock. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. Dust hung in the sunlight. Boots paused mid-step, and even the wind stopped, as if it couldn't bear to move. The general's hand was still raised, trembling slightly, as if he too had been surprised by the force of his own anger. The soldier's knees buckled, fell to the ground not because he was defeated, but because his body finally gave in to the weight of what he'd been carrying. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. His name was Private Eli Mercer, and he was the kind of soldier that made other men uncomfortable. Not because he was lazy or careless, but because he was different. He moved slower. He hesitated. Didn't have the quick, aggressive confidence that the military seemed to demand. He had been born with a quiet mind and a gentle heart, and the world had never been kind to either. The General Harlan had built his reputation on discipline, on strength, on breaking men until they became something harder, something sharper. He believed weakness was a disease that spread if not stamped out. Eli's weakness had spread into the unit like a stain. The men around them watched in silence. Some smirked, some looked away. A few stared with a strange, uncomfortable sympathy. They had all seen the way Eli flinched when orders were shouted. They'd all heard the whispers behind his back. They had all wondered why the general hadn't dismissed him already. The general's voice cut through the stillness. "Do you want to be a soldier, or do you want to be a liability?" Eli's throat tightened. He tried to speak, but his words came out as a croak. His hands trembled so badly he couldn't hold his rifle properly. He felt the shame burn through him like fire. He knew the answer. He wanted to be a soldier more than anything. But he also knew he wasn't built for it. He was built for something else. Eli looked up at the general, his eyes wet, his voice shaking. "Sir, I'm trying. I really am." The general stared at him, his expression unreadable. The air between them was thick with tension, like a storm about to break. The soldiers held their breath, waiting for the next blow, expecting the humiliation to continue. Then Eli did the unthinkable. He bowed his head. He dropped to his knees. The sound of his own body hitting the ground was almost louder than the slap. The soldiers gasped, the murmurs rising like a tide. He was begging, not for mercy, for a chance, for proof that he wasn't worthless. Eli's voice cracked. "Please, sir, don't let me be the reason someone dies. I want to be better. I want to be strong. Tell me what to do. I'll do it." The general's eyes narrowed. For a moment, the entire world seemed to wait on his next move. Then something unexpected happened. The general's face softened not with pity, but with something deeper, something that looked like understanding. He crouched down, so close that Eli could see the fatigue under his eyes. The desert wind whipped around them, carrying the smell of sweat and dust. The soldiers watched in stunned silence, unsure if they were witnessing mercy or manipulation. General Harlan spoke quietly, almost gently. "You're not weak, Mercer. You're scared. Fear's not a crime." Eli blinked, confusion flooding him. He had expected contempt. He had expected punishment. He had not expected the general to see him as a human being. The general stood up slowly, and the silence snapped back into place. The men looked at him, waiting for the final verdict. Then he said, "Tomorrow, you lead the obstacle course, and if you fail, you will not be punished alone. The entire unit will run with you. We'll all succeed or fail together." A ripple ran through the soldiers. Some laughed nervously, some scoffed, but no one argued. The general's decision was absolute. Eli rose, his knees shaking, but his eyes burning with a new kind of fire. He felt the weight of the entire unit on his shoulders. Felt the fear, yes, but also something else. Hope. The next day the unit ran the course. Eli stumbled. He fell. He struggled. But he kept moving, driven by the knowledge that he wasn't just running for himself anymore. The men beside him slowed down, matching his pace. The whispers turned into grunts of effort, then into supportive shouts. They became a tide of solidarity. By the time Eli crossed the finish line, he was last, but he was not alone. The unit erupted into applause, not loud or celebratory, but honest. The kind of applause that comes from witnessing someone become something they never thought they could be. General Harlan watched, his face unreadable, but his eyes held something like pride, because the truth was simple. Strength isn't the absence of fear. Strength is choosing to stand up, even when you've already been knocked down. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And in the quiet after the run, Eli looked at the spot where the slap had landed and whispered to himself, as if speaking to the boy he once was, "I'm still here." If this story moved you, a comment where you re-watching from and subscribe to Whispered Words for more mission stories that remind us what courage really looks like, because the bravest warriors are often the ones who were told they were weak.